kakula besinikete isithombe nje sekuthi kulomnyaka balibandla ababuke kusebenta kanjani sida bese indlalela yona le clip lomhla ekseni nga 6:30 kwanyalo sibehla emakethe sitabuya isithathe idinza abadethu.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007*3# and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. Lesikhathi sitabuya idinza abadethu lomhla ekseni. Indvuna ilitiko letemfundvo Lady Howard ikhutsata sive ukuthi sekukhuthalele kukhuluma ulimi lwesiSwati njengoba lukhomba imvelaphi yaso kanti futhi sisisekelo semfundvo. Indvuna bekhuluma emphakathini wakaZombodze lapho khona litiko netinhlangothi letitsinzekako belikubhala ilanga lolwimi lomtsabu.
Lolwimi lwesiSwati luchaza buve bethu. Kuthi singemaswati sivakala ngelulwimi lwethu. Namhla ke sitekto uhlangana kuvusetelelana nekuwavusetela nje emaswati kuwakhumbula ukuthi uliswati ngelulwimi lwakho. Lesikubonako kubantwana bethu lesibafundisako emaklasini nalesibalalelako nje ezisiphila kuphila kwethu singemaswati siyabona ukuthi isiswati sesiphambukile. Bantwana bethu abasakhulumi lesiswati lesingiso. Kube kuya ngako ngasiyabambisana sonke singemaswati singaluyekeli lulwimi lwethu lusuphunyukele ngoba onke emazwe ayatichenya ngelulwimi lwawo. Nathi asifunze ukutichenya. Mina nje lengingakusho kukhona kupolicy yahulumende ukuthi bantwana ngathi ngabe bafundiswa ngelulwimi lwabo. Bafunze ngalo kusuka ka grade 1 kuze kumbe kufikela kubo grade 3 grade 4. Lokho kutamenda lo mntwana ukuthi akhone ukuthi bamba tonke tintfo lekatifunza ngoba tita ngelulwimi lwakhe. Siyathi ke ukuthi empilweni kuze ufunze lolunye lolwimi ufuna ube uyalwati lolu lwakho. Kulihlazo ke kakhulu ukuthi sithathe singemaswati sehlulwe lolwimi lwethu. Sijabulele kukhuluma kahle tilwimi talabanye bantu. Asikukhawule nje singemaswati asibuyele emuva sibuthe lolwimi lwethu ngoba simqokwa nje ngalokuthi singemaswati sikhuluma siSwati.
Imbungaze tidumise ingwenyama ngenkulumo lethu lePhalamende nayivula sigaba sekugcina sePhalamende el-11 timphunga tincome nekuthumela libandla leliyekhuta lwandle emakhosini.
Nayihlala indlu yetimpunga libekase ke amelele ndunankulu kuliphini lakhe umhlonishwa Themba Masuku uphakamisa ke sishukumise endlini lapho bekacela khona timpunga ukuthi tikheseke libandla litawuhamba liyawubonga inkulumo yengwenyama lethule mhla til-17 kulesetulu ngesikhathi ke imbubo emhlaba ivula ngalokho semthethweni isigaba sekugcina sePhalamende el-11. Lembala ke timpunga tisukumile ngekwehlukana kwato tasesekela lesishukumiso. Imbunga umntana Nkosi Hlangabeza ukhalela smartphones ngekubabede kwetinduna tembuso lebekadze tibhekile usithi bekhona nayihlala indle timpunga lomuhla
kona liqiniso ukuthi ngikhuluma namengameli Kodwa ke tonke timphunga la nalaba kube mhlawumbe bebakhona la besitawubona so basiva nathi ukuthi sithini ufakazela ukuthi usho ukuthi noma basiva nathi ukuthi bayivi ngonyama nabo ngalela langa kumbe mhlawumbe ikhuluma kuhle mengameli ukuthi awu kumbe mhlawumbe uqele kahle ukuthi asite mengameli wabakhulula bona athi abakhululeke babe khona lapho kumbe mhlawumbe bebakhona khona singethe sathini mengameli wakuvume wena
ngibakhulumele labacolisile lalabanye nje cha babukele eminye imisebenzi yabo
ngiyadicelela ukuthi lo hulumende ungibeke labase cabinet asemane phela bende lokushitwa inkosi ngobe lana sekungasendeki lethi into bese kuletha lokungasabonisi kwente kanjani
kaze ke mengameli wayo indlu yetimbunga ubese uyachaza kusenene leshukumiso lesi sesitawuhamba ke siye ku sessional committee lekulona li committee lekubheka ukuthi ke lithamke nemagama lamathathu lekatawuthunywa ngito timbunga kuyawubonga lenkulumo yemakhosi Elizabeth Eswatini TV ngilingithin kule ngasikhumbuzo Dlamini seParliament
Kulandzela kumenyetelwa kwehlelo lolusha lokuhola njalo ngenyanga kwebantfu labadzala nalabakhubatekile lehhovisi leliphina ndvunankhulu limemetela nanka emalanga ekuhola lehhovisi liyacela ukubambisana nesive kulolu hlelo phindze licela ukuthi sive lisibeketelele ngetinkinga letingahle tibe khona kusethulwa lolu hlelo emalanga ekuhola ngunankhala landzelako esifundeni sakamanzini kutaba ngumhla ka-6 March elibonjeni ngu-7 March echiselweni ngu-8 na-9 March kahoho ngu-10 March ngasimemetelo sikhishwa ngumabhalane lomkhulu ehhovisini eliphina ndvunankhulu Itiko letekwatisa libuka indlela yokugcina umlandvo welive kude ungalahleki nanoma kunetehlakalo mabhalane lomkhulu kuleli tiko phesheya Dube uthi lokhu bakwendiswa kubonwa ukuthi tiningi tehlakalo lesetiba khona kuleli ngakho kufanele litiko netinhlangothi letitsinzekako livekele kulahleka kwalemininingwane tisengakefiki mabhalane lomkhulu ebemelelwe ngulobambe ukubalisekela lakhe Jonathan Dlamini emsebentini bobanjelwa eHappy Valley ezolwini
Itiko letekwatisa lithi kugcina umlandvo welive kumcokwa kude sive singakhohlwa imvelaphi kanye nemihambo yaso. Losabambe kubalisekela lamabhalane lomkhulu Jonathan Dlamini uchaza kabande.
Site lapha kutowakalihlakala kuma-archives lokufikele la lelitiko i-department yakuma-archives legcina umlando welive kuthi ungasilahlekeli njengoba sokuvela sesiphila etimeni la khona kwendeka tigameko leti matima kakhulu njengoba sibona nje imlilo leqhamuka nje singakayicapheli nabozamcolo kuningi nje lengakubala lokusenda sisukumele etulo lokungenda live liluze limuva lawo kanti lelimuva lawo ligcina lapha kuma-archives ngiloko nje lesitenga kakhulu si-inviteke labahlukehlukene labachamuka tindzaweni letehlukile batosibambisa sakhe loluhla lolu lesitenga lo la le plan yakuma-archives ukuthi basibambise yakheke into khona kusibambisa ekugcineni nomlando welive leMaswati
Litiko lisilitawusebenzisana netinhlangothi letitsinzekako kucinisekisa kwekuthi lolu hlaka luba imphumelelo. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelson Amandla kunambongwa Dube ezulwini.
Baholi bemave e-Afrika lehlukene sebadibophelele kabusha kwakhane kuchubata inhlelo tekulwane kwanza kweligciwane i-HIV kanye nesifo se-AIDS. Embikweni lothunyelelwe betindzaba inhlangano lelwane kwanza kwalesifo kuleli NHIT tincumo letithethwe emhlanganweni lebokadze ubanjelwe e-Addis Ababa mhla tinge-20 kulesetulu tekulwana lesifo tihlose kucinisekisa ukuthi emave lahlukene kuleli vekati afaka imali leyanele kulwana lesifo kucasha tisebenti temphilo kanye nekutsenga yonke imitsi ledzingekako kulokunye lesifo lofaka ekhatsi iNEPAD, UNAIDS kanye nePEPFAR bavumelene ngalivi linye ukuthi kufanele emave asebentele kucedza lesifo ngeminyaka wa-2030 njengokusho kwemgomo wakamhlaba. Inhlangano yebunye bemave e-Afrika nayo yathekela tincumo talomhlangano. Inkampani elekhiqita shukela uBombo Sugar Limited ithi le nkampani ikuhambisa imbili ukukhulumisana emkhathini wemcashi netisebenzi. Ngokusho kwalobuketi indzabate enhlalakahle kule nkampani, Leonard Nzimanze uthi eminyakeni lophelile balimi bemoba abakhinyabeteka kakhulu balinyalelwa imikhiqito yabo lekuyintfo labatayisebenta ngekutikhandla ukuthi ingaphinzeki. Nzimanze bakhuluma emhlanganweni netikhulu kanye nebantfu abenkosi ebobanjelwe isiteki.
Inkampani yashukela iUBombo Sugar Limited umgomo wayo kubambisana ke nemimango lesemacinselweni ukuthi kuzuze emaswati emisebentini lefaka ekhatsi kulinywa kwemoba. Kulo mhlangano netikhulu kanye nebantfu benkosi, le nkampani ivetile ukuthi ayikhicitike ngelizinga lelibhekekile ngetinkinga letitsite. Leonard Nzimanze wale nkampani uthi ke tinkinga letiyayikhinyabete umsebenti walabalimi babuke ukuthi batawutisebenta kulo mnyaka.
We are looking at ways of minimizing those kind of distractions going forward. So in the issue of continuous engagement, kukhulumisana ngaso sonke isikhathi nebasebenzi siyinkampani, we find it what probably it will be one of the ways of minimizing. We're not saying it probably will eliminate, but we're saying we want to try and minimize the impact. Ngokuthi noma ngabe kukhona la singevani khona noma lapho kusingakaboni ngaliso linye khona, but isithola indlela ukuthi how quick can we resolve those differences.
Umphathi wesifundza saseLibonjeni Themba Msibi uthi le misebenti le nkampani leyentako iyawuzuza ke emaswati futhi ke banesifiso sekuthi yenabele even lonke.
Le market labanayo abakhoni kuyinetisa ngalo moba lokhona. One bakhinyabetwa sivuno sabo 2015 wehla umoba labawutholako.
Le nkampani yakhe umkhombandlela weminyaka lesihlanu lobukeke kukhulisa umkhicito wemoba. Kulo mnyaka losetulu le nkampani iphokophele kuthi ke ilime ema-hektara angu-1000. Tindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginathemba Shabangu esiteki.
Isiphepho lesihambisana nemvula Cyclone Freddy sibonakala siphelelwa ngemandla. Ngokusho kwaPhephisa Sihlongonyane losangoma selitulu, isiphepho sibonakala ukuthi sesisenhlane live leSwatini njengoba sibonakala ukuthi sesendzaweni yaseNyembane even leMozambique. Sihlongonyane uthi lesimo bayasilandzelela futhi batawuchubeka nekwatisa sive.
Tinkhomba kwanyalo tizakhomba ukuthi utawukhombisa ukuthi uyongena kubo Nyembane khashanyana kakhulu nevela laseSwatini kungabekisa ngathi nje ngemabomu ngithi 1000 km kusuka la kuyofika edinza ubonakala sosenhla kakhulu kunathi. Sikepha ke umehluko lomningi sitawubona ngesikhathi sewungena ke eMozambique elugwini langase Mozambique lasempumalanga East Coast of Mozambique ngila sitawubona khona ukuthi wangena lapho utabe sekwendekane sengisingasta ukhona kwatisa umhlaba ukuthi njengoba sewungena lapho indlela engahla ithatheke nasalapho ngoba utawusocala sekaphelwa ngemandla utawubheka enyakatho noma ubheke eningizimu neyiningizimu shokuthi usonzela ngakithi noma ubheka kuphi ngila sitawukhona khona msadi sibone ukuthi umhlaba siwatisa ukuthi naseyilapho simo lesisibheke ukuthi sendekeke siyale kubo lesihlanu ngoba kusasa utabe yazama ukuthi across noma endlule asuke eMadagascar abayongena eMozambique kusasa kusona namhla ebusuku yofika kusasa sizabe sibona kusasa nsambama ukuthi ingabe noma kuya kulesihlanu ukuthi ingabe uphelela kuphi na ungena uphinze soyenda njani Freddy ukuthi utawusithinza intsine noma cha.
Isiphepho lesaba khona nyakenye salimatati kolwa letinge-33. Uhulumende ngenkampani leluphiko lwakhe leku-micro projects sawutilungisile letikolwa. Umcondzisi waka-micro projects Busiso Mbingo uthi nativuma timali umsebenzi bawenda ufika emaphethelweni.
Taba 33 tikolwa letalimala kamitima ngesikhathi kunesiphepho kuleli nyakenye. Uhulumende ngaluphiko lwakhe leku-micro projects wabeka imali eceleni yekulungisa leto tikolwa. Umcondzisi waka-micro projects Busiso Mbingo uthi sebatilungisile tikolwa nemonakalo sawungcono ikakhulukati kuleto lebetilimele kakhulu.
Ama-class 115 bekalimele indabothishela nama-administration blocks nebakaphathi alimele kulomnyaka lophelile. Itulu letemfundo lagijima letikwala tilungise cishe tonke. Lokusele nyalo lesakwezama ukuthi maneti madlana lesititholako njengoba nje ukuthi ibudget tikhona ukuthi labo lebebasebenta ama-suppliers nama-contractors akhona ekubhadaleka, kepha kungesesekubhadele kunalabancane nje sesichubeka sibabhadale. Singabiya ukuthi umsebenzi wesiphepho umnyango lokuphila wahamba kahle dalungiswa tikolwa.
Isikole lesiphakeme sase St Michael's kaManzini naso salimala, kodwa-ke microprojects nakhona uwendile umsebenzi. Umphathi waso isikole Dr. Simelane ubonga litiko letemfundo.
Salithola lusido kakhulu, umonakalo lakithi esikoleni bowumkhulu kakhulu ngoba onke ama-hostels ethu beka sikametekile, consumer lab beyithikametekile, bo swimming pool yethu ngale bekuthikametekile, administration block yonke.
Kupheleliswa kwemisebenzi kuleli kuncike ekubeni khona-ke kwetimali, kanti-ke microprojects uthi uma timali tivuma uyasebenta. Etindzabeni ngiyongena emsibeni nasimuva shongwe sikaManzini.
Imitamo yokuvala tikhala letikhona kuloko live letibekele kona i-National Determined Contributions litiko letekuvakasha netindzaba temvelo nematiko latsintsekako lisacola lolu hlelo. Dr. Tipha Pulanatikal longumchumanisi uthi letifiso live litibekele tona titawusita leSwatini ukuthi likhone kufaka sandla kuloko litibophelele ukuthi litawukwenta ngaphansi kwesivumelwano se-Paris Agreement.
Litiko letekuvakasha nendzaba temvelo ngekubambisana nematiko latsintsekako lisemkhankasweni wokucola tifiso live lelinato ehlangothini lokulwa nokugucugucuka kwesimo selitulu. Ngekusho kwemchumanisi walolu hlelo Dr. Tipha Pulanatikal uthi-ke lolu hlelo litawukhona ukuthi livete ngalokucondzile kuthi-ke ematiko adlale indzima lebhekekile ngekwehlukana kwawo.
The country had submitted a very ambitious and enhanced NDC, or Nationally Determined Contributions, to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change in 2021, and we now need to implement it. So we have gathered here today with stakeholders to look at the adaptation sectors of agriculture, water, ecosystems and biodiversity and infrastructure to create the implementation plan together with them.
Lamatiko ke aphinze abukisisane luhlaka lwekulwa nokugucugucuka kwesimo selitulu seminyaka lesihlanu leyengcile. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginambonga Dube ezulwini.
Asinamukele tindzabeni temidlalo. Umphathi wenhlangano lengamele umdlalo webhola eveni Frederick Mgomedulu uthi indzaba yetinkhundla tekudlalisa imidlalo yebhola ekakhulukade esigabeni saka-Premier League kanye ne-National First Division seyindzaba lebakhatsatako njengoba letinye tinkhundla atikho ezingeni lelifanele kuthi tingadlalisa imidlalo njengoba tibeka abalandzeli engotini. Mgomedulu uthi tinkhundla letikhomba kuba ingoti batatimisa. Uthi batawuchubeka basebenzisane nenhlangano yaka-Premier League kuthi kuphepha kwabalandzeli kube yintfo lehamba embili.
Etinhlelweni lesinato thina siyibhola sakhana kulokuthiwa ngama-technical centers. Ema-technical centers ngilapho niba khona naleli ground lebhola ukuthi nikhona ukucecesha bantu ningadlalisela imidlalo yenu lena lesingathi imidlalo yasekhaya. Sitkhanzile-ke nathi silive ukuthi ngoba vele tinkundla tincane ngetinombolo sesibheke ukuthi sidlalise nemidlalo letsinzana bo-Premier League tona yeto tinkundla leto siyati kona ukuthi letinye tindlu atikho ezingeni lelisedulu, kodwa-ke siyacabanga ukuthi eminyakeni isachubeka sibuya lokunye lokunengi kutawukhona ukuthi bese kugcina kuyafakwa ikakhulukati lokubonakele kakhulu tindzawo tekuhlala kwebantu lesi singema-grandstands lokhanza ukuthi kumbe sebatikhanza bemile babukela ibhola. Nanathi sinaso sifiso sokuthi leso simo sibe ngcono, athi msinawubukela ibhola ubukela kahle ngendlela ephephile. Kodwa-ke lokukhona lokukhulu kwekuthi nanoma tikhona manje kwekuthi kutawendiwa kwekuthi lokho kuhlala kwebantu kube khona lapho kwendiwa kube ngcono kokhona nokuthi baxwayiswe abantu ukuthi ningahlala kuphi nihlale kanjani.
Ikhethelo lesive lemidlalo we-rugby sizeze kubheke ukuthi kusasa libhekise eveni laseBotswana kuyodlala umdlalo we-test match nelive leBotswana. Umdlalo utawudlalwa ngemigcibelo khona eBotswana. Ikhethelo litawuhamba nebadlali labangu-23. Sizeze sagcina kudlala umdlalo webungane ngeminyaka wa-2017 lalitfolana itulu nelive leLesotho. Lelikhethelo emdlalweni walo wokugcina nelive leBotswana wadlalwa ngeminyaka wa-2012 kanti Sizeze sakhala phansi kulo mdlalo. Kapteni walelikhethelo Thando Shongo uthi amalungiselelo abo ahambe kahle futhi sebanalo lithemba ukuthi batawunqoba lo mdlalo. Lelikhethelo libide abadlali labachamuka eveni laseNingizimu Afrika ukuthi bangenele lo mdlalo. Sizeze sesiceceshwa nguSteve Reynolds lenaye uthembise ukuthi batawunqoba lo mdlalo.
Ngilungiselelo ahamba kahle namajita ladlala South Africa khona namuhla aphelele so far konke kuhamba kahle and ngawuthi training eqala lena lebe inkulu kangaka and yaba live ngalendlela lengenye because nalamajita ayita ne spirit sangale kuyacombine and will come up with something.
Setiphetha ngaleto temidlalo sibahlete makethe sidaba sichubeke nehlelo.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who pays for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Welcome back. Solo bukela hlelo Kusile Professional sakuvusela nawo losanza kuzivulela besibedile ukuthi isidaba sendlalela iclip yemcondzisi welibandla lelicatulula tindzaba temcashi kanye nesisebenzi iSimak. Itolo ke basayine isivumelwano sokusebenzisana nalo libandla laseNingizimu Afrika CCMA bese sihlala phansi nayo umcondzisi lomkhosi iMakakula kumbuta kabanti ngestrategic plan salo leli bandla noma ke indlela yekusebenta kwalo leli bandla sesimlalele ukhuluma wathini.
If I'm not mistaken, it must have been about 2 directors going back who established this relationship, and it resulted in us having a case management system which enables us to manage our cases via an electronic system, and many other interventions that include operations benchmarking, our commissioner job descriptions, just as an example. So it's not a new relationship. This is really a revival of the relationship. As you very well know, we just came from the 14th of February, so that revival happened in that context. And in this context, this is another revival of a long-standing relationship with the CCMA. And the CCMA, since we started conversations about reviving this relationship, We've had frank discussions around where the CCMA-CIMAC relationship was previously, what mistakes we should not repeat, and the basis upon which we want to continue this relationship. We have found a partner who has not given us any doubt about the commitment to the relationship, and I believe, Advocate, we've given the same. The CCMA, even prior to this signing, we've already had many interactions. The CCMA has invited us to 2 of their major conferences, the one main conference in the year, and also the Commissioners' Conference, where Mr. Mtembeni was the MC. And in both sessions, you know, when a person is committed to you, they are committed to you. And the conversation is around, let's grow together. Let's ensure that we expose each other together. Let's ensure that we're able to identify clearly the areas of need, the areas where we have gaps, to ensure that when we address what needs to be addressed, we address it in a manner that's going to see a level of value add to both organizations. At the CCMA conference, I was invited to speak at the pleasure of the director. And for both instances, we were able to take management with us. So the minimum of about 4 people at that seminar. And it just goes back to show the commitment, and none of it was paid for. We appeared and was fully sponsored by the CCMA. We invite the CCMA to come through to Eswatini. And thank you, Director, for being open to signing the MOU in Eswatini. Not because South Africa is not important, but because of the importance of the MOU. The MOU covers a number of areas. We've got 4 pillars of which it covers. It covers governance and strategy, wherein we are looking at issues of governance within CIMAC, including issues of structure, including issues of ensuring that even our reporting reports the right information for the right stakeholder. We are also looking at dispute resolution as a second pillar, which is really our core focus, for which we were established as a mandate, which puts into place both social justice and dispute resolution, and its pillars of fairness, its pillars of accessibility. As the public may know, is that we service mainly a certain level of our economy, which may not always have the necessary resources to attain or secure an attorney, but it does not mean other levels higher up in the organizations are not welcome at CIMAC. They are. So this will enable us to benchmark how we conduct our dispute resolution, as well as find areas of improvement and best practice. Case management technologies is very key. We went through COVID, and through COVID we were unable, because of resources, to attain and secure a case management system which would enable us to engage with or even hear cases, accept cases during the 2 years where we were on total shutdown. And the CCMA was telling me just yesterday when they arrived that when they, in their strategy, they kept talking about going online and when did you open your offices? early this year, was it? It is only early this year that the CCMA offices had walk-ins. So for that period, it was early last year, yes, when they had walk-ins, which means for the period previous, they were saying they had to be knee-jerked into getting into technology. We would like to learn from that. We would like to find a situation where a person who may have been employed in Pigspeak, lives in Spofanini, may not necessarily, at a time when they don't have money, be seized with challenges of funding a trip which may cost 150 one way to go and report a matter and or be present at a hearing of that matter. So technology is one of our key pillars which will enable us to offer our clients with access to the service. We, as CIMAC, we are 100% subvented by government. It is important for CIMAC to also assist government by augmenting its resources with alternative revenue generation. And we are going to work on a strategy to assist, to find ways of ensuring that we are able to to mobilize some extra resources for CIMAC to be able to then extend our service to our clients. We are also looking at regional focus in the sense that we want to be benchmarked with other alternative dispute resolution agencies within the SADC region, eventually with the world. Not only because of placing CIMAC or positioning CIMAC correctly in the market, but primarily by providing the service that we're mandated to serve, to provide to the people that we need to provide it to. And any improvement that will ensure that our clients are able to get that service, even in the safe haven of their sitting room, would be an example of how best to do that. But it also is important to ensure that we do so in a manner that's customizable for the country, but also leading in terms of its best practice. Today then marks an achievement for CIMAC, I'd like to believe for CCMA as well, because now they're spreading their wings outside into Eswatini, because the advocate himself is well established within the region and internationally. And we would hope that, and we would like to believe that this relationship is going to ensure that CIMAC is counted amongst the best ADR agencies within the country. We're looking forward to your presentation tomorrow around the not only stock taking of where we are from, but the futuristic look of what ADR agencies should be doing. We had a very interesting conversation this morning around social justice, about financial modeling, and so on and so forth, which has created fire under our feet to ensure that we are able to look at ways we can augment or even support CIMAC to be a leading ADR agency. Hopefully, Director, we shall be better than CCMA.
So this is not just an issue about two organizations, it's about an issue about two countries. And when you understand, we see issues around labor relations, are issues around employment. Employment in the control of my economies, which means if we do our work at the high-tech commissions, it means we are bringing harmony in the workplace, and it means that the economies are growing. Are cousins to us. So whatever happened, and most of the issues that come out, even issues that are political issues, are coming from issues that are unsolved within the workplace. So it's quite important if we're talking about growing our economies. The issue about the role of CIMAC and CCMA is so instrumental, because it means we are bringing harmony, we are bringing social justice, and that means we are growing our economies, and that Timbilo Day about our people means are getting better by the day. So this collaboration to us is really a milestone because of the standard that we have set ourselves as an organization to say, see, we want to be the best. We want to ensure that we are accessible to our people. We want to ensure that we resolve disputes in time. We want to ensure the labor market in Swaziland is as harmonious as possible. We want to ensure disagreements in the workplace are because of things that drive innovation and growth, not things that are disruptive for our economy. And that's our role as a commission, and that's what we've set ourselves. So this collaboration is the first sign, and we can only do that if we're capacitated enough as an organization. The issues that surround our labor today are becoming so complex. If you can see what happened on the issues around COVID-19, shows you how complex issues in the workplace are becoming. And if we have any hope to overcome or to achieve them, we've got to breathe capacity within us as an organization. And so this collaboration is really that, an attempt for us to build our capacity as an organization. And what a great organization to first start to learn from. So uyabona ukuthi sivele saqala sathi sifuna ukufunda nabaya labane budget ya 1 billion sina 16, and that's what it means, and that's the kind of organization that we really want to be. So this collaboration is quite important for us as an organization, because it covers where we intend to go. So we are so thankful to the both of you. We are so thankful to the colleagues that have worked so hard around the clock within both organizations to ensure that this happens. Because we know, what it's going to breathe. We know the kind of organization that we eventually are going to be because of it. And we intend, Director, we need to be deliberate about our intention to resolve IR issues within Southern Africa. And so we view this as a first step to say, I speak to the AD a lot about seeing how we can bring together a dispute resolution mechanism around Southern Africa to ensure our problems are similar. And the problem that I have, you've probably seen it. Someone in Lesotho, someone in Namibia has probably had it. And why must I crack my head and spend 3 days in a solution that is already there? Because of the culture that we are, the type of people that we are, it's easy that our issues are the same. So we've got to create that capacity around Southern Africa to say, let's build a forum where we can be able to interact and talk about the similarities and issues. And we know that as long as we have created a proper dispute resolution mechanism, I like what you said earlier on, as long as we've prevented disputes within Africa in the workplace, then we've grown Africa. So the importance of our institutions is so underrated sometimes, because it means as long as the singer Kabani in the workplace, as long as we promote harmony, it means our economies are growing. So this is the first step in a deliberate effort to move towards the rest of Southern Africa. And we would like to travel that journey with you. Would like to lean on you, on your experience, to ensure that we can be able to do that. So that is why we really speak of excitement. And I always say to the executive director, some of the things that you have highlighted, I always say to the executive director, we as a commission, as an organization, must be beyond reproach when it comes to the way in which we handle our own issues as well as an organization. So imagine thinking about going to CIMAC, now was a pain, because we body ED or a senior manager has been dismissed unfairly. We then see, we create doubt in our ability to resolve these issues. And then it means they're taking a doubt to it. So excellence is important from an internal organizational perspective in order for people to trust you with their problems and in order for you to be credible enough for them to listen when you provide guidance. So that's those kind of issues are important for us as an organization in terms of the things that we do. I always think about the word a lot, social justice. Social justice, such a powerful statement. And then if you are entrusted as an organization to promote social justice, my God, the amount of responsibility you've been given. And that's, we talk about these things because it means being accessible, it means resolving disputes, it means being proactive on issues around this. It means using all means possible to assist people that have been in one way or the other let down by the system. So we have a big responsibility, and that is why the collaboration that we have today is so important to us. And you coming down today means a great deal to us. It cements a conversation that we started a long time ago. I mean, if we move together as Africa, as African countries, I suppose it's a very definition of synergy because, the sum, the combination is greater than the sum of its parts. So it's important for us as an organization. Today, to us as a board, is a big milestone. From the moment we started in the board, one of the things that we felt was important was our relationship with CCMA, was our relationship with other ADA partners around Africa for us to be able to learn. So, Director, please do hold our ED with your hand. Please do show her the ropes. I'm sure you will learn a few things from her as well. You learn a few things from us as Swazis. I'm sure you've been here more than once, and you get the sense about the warmth of our people. So, we are humble people in general. It makes it easy for us. It makes it easy for us again to resolve issues. So, and if you take away anything today, please do take out our sense of humility as a nation. And put that within your dispute resolution mechanism when you go back to the CCMA. So we are really excited today to be talking about the MOU, which is something that we've been talking about for a very long time.
Rasibenge baphathi-ke labo belibandla lelibukete nati indzaba tecatulula tinkinga letisemkhatsini kwesisebenti kanye nemcashi isimark kanye ne-CCMA yase-South Africa bebayosayina sivumelwano sekusebenzisana kanye nekwetfula nje ukuthi indlela tekuthi ingabe lamabandla atawusebenzisana kanjani going forward. Namhla-ke kutabe kunesemina lapho khona kutabe kukhona yena CCMA kanye na-CIMARC nema-stakeholders lapha ekhatsi tona tinkampani kanye netinyonyane lapho khona kutabe kukhulunywa kabanti ngaso lesivumelwano sekusebenzisana kwalamabandla lamabili. Let's take a break, start we in a traffic update.
The COVID-19 pandemic had a devastating impact on micro, small, and medium-sized businesses in Southeast Asia, impacting the livelihoods of hundreds of millions of people. Amongst the hardest hit were businesses owned by women in vulnerable sectors and facing challenges in finding support.
During this challenging state, I have these small thoughts that maybe I should close down.
รายได้เนี่ยค่ะจากที่โดนโควิดเนี่ยว่าลดลงเท่าไหร่นะคะก็ลดลงเกือบ 100% เลยค่ะ
When the pandemic happened, that was sheer terror. And then there were loans to pay, food to put in a table, and all of a sudden everything, the world stopped. Nothing was coming from the business.
To support these businesses, the ILO, in partnership with JP Morgan, launched the Rebuilding Better, Fostering Business Resilience Post-COVID-19 project in 2021. Through online and in-person events, participants enhanced their skills, learnt how to access finance and market opportunities, and became part of a community that supports each other. In addition, they learnt about financial management, digital technology, and how to increase their online presence, as well as how to manage their own mental health and stay resilient in a crisis.
Sitting with 3 JP Morgan mentors was amazing because it's like, wow, you have somebody teaching you how to understand all of these things. And then listening to the other ladies, the other entrepreneurs saying, wow, I'm not alone. Knowing that you've now become part of a community of people wanting to help. The ILO Rebuilding Better project. It's all about innovation and making sure that you think out of the box.
ILO give value to our business, even to mindset of a business owner, because it set the mindset of business owner to be in a growth and also to equip business owner to always be prepared for any challenges that might happen in the future.
ก็ถ้าเกิดว่าไม่ได้เข้าร่วมโครงการของ ILO นะคะ WeCare แล้วก็ eCot นะคะช่วงที่เป็นโควิดก็รู้สึกว่าจะมีผลกระทบต่อตัวเราเป็นอย่างสูงพอมีผลกระทบต่อตัวเราแล้วเนี่ยก็จะกระทบไปยังธุรกิจที่เราทำอยู่ด้วยค่ะคือถ้าเราไม่มีแรงกายเรามีแต่แรงใจเราไม่สามารถขับเคลื่อนไปได้ที่เราจะดำเนินธุรกิจไปต่อได้แบบนี้ค่ะเราก็ไม่สามารถทำอะไรให้มันดีขึ้นได้แต่ว่าพอไปเข้าโครงการ WeCare แล้วก็ eCot เนี่ยค่ะทำให้เรารู้สึกแบบมีกำลังใจมากขึ้นแล้วก็เขาเรียกมีแรงใจมากขึ้นในการที่จะดำเนินธุรกิจต่อไปได้ค่ะ
The project worked alongside government agencies, employers' organizations, women's entrepreneurship associations, and the private sector. In just a year and a half, the project supported more than 1,100 small businesses in Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines, of which 959 are owned by women. Through campaigns, information sharing, and events to advocate for development of women entrepreneurs, the project has reached more than 250,000 people. The Rebuilding Better project not only helped small businesses recover from COVID-19, but has also set in motion a journey to ensure women entrepreneurs can thrive in a more enabling environment post-COVID-19.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukhuthazwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphindze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile Emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngephandle kwekuphadamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sivele sihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Nomlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Welcome back. 6 minutes before 7 lesikhathi sidabuka simo semgwaco lomhla ekseni na Sergeant Kule asivuthele eMagwabani lomhla ekseni kuhambeka kanjani emigwacweni.
Kusile nakuyo umbukeli welihlelo solo liyana imigwaqo eminingi nako kubonakala kuba mandi asikhumbule ukuthi imvula itanato tithikabede emgwaqweni lifake ekhathi kubona ke ama potholes ngakho ke asendeke isiqiniseko sokuthi la uhamba khona uyanaka uyaqaphelisisa ikakhulu kati kunciphisa lidubane kwatise ukuthi kunalawo ma potholes umgwaqo wethu kedolobheni elikhulu laseMbabane Somhlolo Road kusukela lapha ngakubo Eswatini Royal Insurance kwenyuke ubheke etulu lapha kubosandla solo uvaliwe leyo mgwaqo loyo namakhosini drive kanti kulonye lihlangothi tibane lethi lapha eceleni kwasesibhedlela na uqhamuka e-industrial site noma uqhamuka esibhedlela athi ukhombisi ke umbala lobo ukuthi nembala setiyavala ihlala tingiletho leti luhlada nawo kanti ke lapha etulu emotshane noma ke nawubheka khona lapha emnyokane kuneloli lapho ibhasi leyafela ekhathi nekhathi nemgwaqo ithatha ke umzila loda khona edolobheni laseMbabane lesingakucwayisa nje kakhulu kule ngciwana le bhasi lena ke yafela ekhathi nekhathi nemgwaqo la kulijika khona ngakho ke bayacwayiswa abashayeli ukuthi abashayele ngale kukhulu ukucophelela basalanze sasonzela lapho nokuthi bekiwe timpawu letiqaphelisa yena umshayeli ngesikhathi ukuthi awakanake la sozela khona kungahle kube khona ke yona ke ingoti kanti kulonye lihlangothi asivete ukuthi lapha ekhathi edolobheni la kumathapha nasesela sibeka lapha eRoji nakhona lapha kuneloli lapho lefele khona emgwaqweni beyibuke khona le eRoji sithi nje awubashayeli abaqaphele basasonzela kuleyo ngcingwana leyo kanti edolobheni lakaManzini saladi sethu lesingamakhosini drive solo sivaliwe sitaladi leso sitaladi singoso luhlaza solo sivaliwe sitaladi leso lesisuka lapha eEsel House sehlele khona lapha endasi elikhaka kanjalo na Kelly Street ekusitaladi lesisuka khona lapha elikhaka sibeke khona eCosville kanti ke nawusuka eSatellite wenyukela lapha eHub uhamba nga10 Bergen Street lapho siyaxwayiswa sibashayeli ukuthi sicaphele litiyela lisusiwe lapho kuseleke umhlabathi lolula lokulula nje kuhamba kwawo kanjalo nalapha eCentral etibane nemgwaqo nakhona likhweshisiwe litiyela wathi ukuthi umgwaqo uyalungiswa kuleyo ngcingwana leyo kanti kuletinye tifunza kungaba ukuthi awasicaphele imfuyo bekunene ikakhulu kathi kunangi yamgwaqo losuka lapha Mafutseni ubheke khona lapha kubomluve ubheke khona lapha eMadlangambisi uyophuma khona lapha eTulu ebuhleni nakuletinye ke tifunza awusiyacela bekunene ukuthi banika bemfuyo phela abende lokho lokufanele ikhweshe imfuyo emgwaqweni sawuphepha sive semaswati njengoba indlela lenhle kuwonke lokhona sikhumbule umthamo wemoto lo uphakeme udinga ukuthi wena la ukhona khona uqaphelisise unake ikakhulu kathi tona ke timo letikhona emgwaqweni siyabonga sinifisele ilanga lelihle nisachubeka nemsebenzi wenu nesiva semaswati sisifisele ilanga lelihle naleliphephile.
Asibakhulu Sergeant Kule kusiniketalo yombiko ngo 3 minutes before 7 asibahlete emakethe sidabuya netindzaba tetfu tangephandle kwakuleli.
Using an ATM is a simple process. You simply insert your card, punch in your PIN, and withdraw your cash. However, this simple process can open up you and your finances to some dangers. So it is very important that you proceed with caution when using the ATM and never share your PIN. When approaching the ATM, it is very important that you have your card ready, either in your hand or in your pocket, so that you do not waste time going through your belongings, either your wallet or your handbag, as this will give opportunities for thieves to act. Thirdly, put your money away immediately. Don't give anyone an opportunity to grab your cash or your card after a withdrawal. Lastly, always take your receipts after each and every transaction. It is important that you get your sleep after every transaction because it contains crucial information about your balances, and that may lead you to be a victim of bolandela. Be cyber aware, be cyber smart.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. It's 7 o'clock. Let's take a look at our international news. Russia's parliament moved on Wednesday to suspend Moscow's participation in the New START treaty as officials lined up to blame the United States and the West for the breakdown of the last remaining nuclear pact between Washington and Moscow. Putin announced the suspension in a major national address on Tuesday as U.S. President Joe Biden vowed to keep supporting and standing up for Kyiv as the first anniversary of Russia's special military operation in Ukraine approaches on Friday.
It was one of the most applauded announcements of Vladimir Putin's State of the Nation address, Moscow's suspension of the New START treaty, the last remaining nuclear arms control pact with the United States.
They want a strategic defeat over us and to try to get to our nuclear facilities. So I'm forced to announce today that Russia is suspending its participation in the Strategic Offensive Arms Treaty.
The pact, signed by the US and Russia in 2010, caps each country at 1,550 deployed nuclear warheads and restricts both countries to 700 deployed nuclear missiles. The treaty also allows the joint monitoring of each side's nuclear arsenals, which Washington says Moscow has refused on numerous occasions. Putin says the decision is a response to what he calls the hostile actions of the West against Russia.
The UK and France also have nuclear arsenals. They are improving and developing them, and they're directed against us, against Russia. We simply cannot ignore this. We cannot afford to, especially today.
The US swiftly slammed Moscow's decision as irresponsible, while the EU and NATO warned that the move could mark the end of the post-Cold War arms control.
More nuclear weapons and less arms control makes the world more dangerous. I'm calling on Russia today to reconsider its decision to suspend its participation in the New START agreement.
Putin also hinted that Russia will not rule out the resumption of nuclear weapons tests, suggesting he will not back down anytime soon in the war in Ukraine.
The UN General Assembly meets Wednesday, 2 days ahead of the anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with Kyiv and its allies hoping to garner broad support for a resolution calling for a just and lasting peace. The draft resolution, sponsored by some 60 countries, is to be voted on after the close of debate, not expected until at least Thursday. The text underscores the need to reach as soon as possible a comprehensive, just and lasting peace in Ukraine, in line with the principles of the Charter of the United Nations.
The language of the new resolution is one of urgency. It is also carefully formulated in general terms, aiming to garner as much support as possible. The text, drafted by Ukraine with help from allies, underscores the urgency to find a comprehensive, just and lasting peace. It also demands a cessation of hostilities, not a ceasefire, and an unconditional and complete withdrawal of Russian forces from the territory of Ukraine within its internationally recognized borders, including the 4 regions unilaterally annexed by Russia last year. But it makes no direct reference to President Volodymyr Zelensky's 10-point peace plan presented at the G20 summit in November. The aim is to make it more difficult not to back the text. 2 previous resolutions over the past year were adopted with an overwhelming majority. However, Russia did find support from its friends and allies. The first one in March, condemning Russia's invasion and demanding an immediate end to its military operations, saw 5 countries voting against: Russia, Belarus, North Korea, Eritrea, and Syria. 35 others abstained, mostly in Asia and Africa. A second resolution, adopted in the wake of Russia's illegal annexation of 4 regions in eastern Ukraine, again saw 5 votes against and 35 abstentions. This time, Eritrea abstained instead of voting no, while Nicaragua joined the no camp. Once again, a majority of abstentions came from Africa, where many countries rely on Russian grain exports, alongside China and India, 2 big buyers of Russian oil. Turkey, meanwhile, approved both resolutions. This week, 191 members are eligible to vote, with Lebanon and Venezuela temporarily suspended due to arrears in the payment of their financial contributions.
U.S. President Joe Biden and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Wednesday attended a summit in Warsaw of the Bucharest, 9 countries on NATO's eastern flank, seeking to lessen anxiety about Moscow's expansionist ambitions.
The little-known Bucharest 9, or B9, is a 2015 initiative by Romania and Poland aimed at enhancing cooperation among NATO's newest members. On Wednesday, the group met in Warsaw, hosted by Polish President Andrzej Duda.
What we wish to do today is to think together among closest allies about our next steps in the run-up to the B9 summit in Bratislava and the NATO summit in Vilnius, and about the possibilities to provide further support to Ukraine.
President Joe Biden reaffirmed U.S. commitment to the B9 countries, which were under Russia's sphere of influence during the Cold War, but are now anxious about Moscow's expansionist ambitions.
You're the front lines of our collective defense, and you know better than anyone what's at stake in this conflict, not just for Ukraine, but for the freedom of democracies throughout Europe and around the world.
The group met amid concerns over Moscow's destabilizing activities in Moldova, a tiny non-NATO country sandwiched between Ukraine and Romania. On Tuesday, Russian President Vladimir Putin revoked a 2012 decree affirming the territorial integrity of Moldova, whose Moscow-backed separatist region of Transnistria hosts an unknown number of Russian troops. Putin is not preparing for peace, said NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg.
On the contrary, he is preparing for more war. So we must sustain and step up our support for Ukraine. We must give Ukraine what they need to prevail.
The B9 summit wraps up Biden's whirlwind visit to Eastern Europe that began with a secret trip to Kyiv on Monday and a Tuesday speech at Warsaw's historic royal castle, where he defended NATO's year-long effort to help Ukraine fend off Russia's invasion. He returned to Washington Wednesday evening. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News, Warsaw.
France has matched its record dry spell of 32 days without significant rainfall, the country's weather service said on Tuesday, amid concerns over water reserves in parts of Europe still reeling from last year's severe drought. With rainfall over the entire country of less than 1 millimeter a day since January the 21st, Weather Service Meteo France said the absence of precipitation equals the record set in the spring of 2020.
Water reserves across France are drying up, and it's the middle of winter. Less than a millimetre of rain has fallen per day across the whole of the country since the 21st of January. Here in the country's southwest, famous for farming and wine production, barely 100 millimetres has fallen since last June. That's less than a quarter of usual levels.
It's catastrophic this winter. Rainfall is historically low. Our lake is just 45% full. Given the time of year, we can already see that we'll have problems.
31 days is the longest winter dry spell in France since records began 60 years ago, and it's causing alarm. Winter is essential for refueling groundwater stores, which the country depends upon for getting through summer. If next spring is dry, water shortages are expected.
We could be in for a much more difficult year than last year. At least in 2022, we began the year with the lakes and water tables full.
And the fears are not limited to the agricultural sector. In many parts, the ground is parched and covered with dried leaves, conditions ripe for forest fires, which just last summer devastated the southwestern Gironde region.
There's a lot of dry vegetation here. Fires could potentially spread very rapidly.
The French Meteorological Bureau has forecast rain across the south of the country from Wednesday. Many residents, there at least, will be hoping it sticks around a while.
Gondolas lay beached along a series of Venice's famed canals this week as low tides and a lack of rain left would be punters high and dry. Tourists out on the deeper, busier canals sailed past exposed foundations of ancient palazzos in the UNESCO World Heritage Site.
Canals run dry, silent motorboats and gondolas at a standstill. For a few days, Venice, famed for its beautiful canals, has not been picture perfect.
Really, the smell is terrible. It had more charm before.
The strong sewage smell in some areas is doing nothing to help the city's gondoliers, who are already struggling on the low water levels. The exceptionally low tides are being blamed on multiple factors: dry conditions, lack of rainfall, a full moon, and an anti-cyclone dominating Western Europe's weather.
Even with one person, it's a battle to get through. Even harder with these water levels. I hit the curb at every turn.
For the locals, reliance on the water transport, it's a cause of real concern.
I see it as a security problem. If someone needs an ambulance, it can't get there. I've never seen anything like it.
On the Grand Canal, one of Venice's major water traffic corridors, the gondolas and Vaporetto water taxis are disrupted but still running to transport thousands across the city. The lack of water is widespread across the country, with Italian lakes and rivers extremely dry and the Alps with less than half of their normal snowfall. The latest weather forecasts, however, signal the arrival of much-needed precipitation and snowfall in the coming days.
Madagascar's government suspended schools and transport in the path of tropical cyclone Freddy, which made landfall in the southeast of the country on Tuesday evening.
The calm before the storm, Manakara residents were making final preparations as they braced for the imminent arrival of tropical cyclone Freddy. Some attempted to shore up their fragile homes with sandbags and trenches, while others sought refuge in churches and schools, hastily transformed into emergency shelters.
We're scared of the wind, but it's mostly the rain that worries us. Our house is next to a bridge. It's very vulnerable to flooding.
After battering Mauritius and the Reunion on Monday, the Category 4 storm was headed straight towards the east coast of Madagascar. And while it largely spared the two neighboring islands where it didn't make landfall, Cyclone Freddy is expected to wreak havoc as it sweeps through the center of the country, bringing winds of over 200 kilometers an hour. The World Food Programme says over 2 million people could be affected on an island where extreme weather phenomena have become a yearly occurrence.
We've been reaching out to local communities to warn them of the danger. From what we know, this is one of the most intense cyclones we've seen. We can't just ignore it.
The Great Red Island regularly experiences tropical storms around this time of year. In February 2022, Cyclone Batsirai partially destroyed the coastal city of Mananjari, killing over 130 people and leaving millions of others without a home.
Bola Tinubu, a political godfather famed for his strategic clout, has never hidden his ambition to be president of Nigeria. Last year, when he announced his plans to champion the ruling All Progressives Congress APC party in this weekend's election, Tinubu said he would be fulfilling a lifelong goal. Now the 70-year-old gets to test his mettle against two other main rivals in the ballot to succeed President Muhammadu Buhari.
It's the last leg of his nationwide tour. And here in Lagos, Bola Ahmed Tinubu receives a raucous welcome in what's the last presidential rally for the ruling All Progressives Congress before Saturday's election. Formerly the city's governor for 2 terms, the 70-year-old political strongman reiterated he has the experience that Nigeria needs.
All the agenda set in our program, renewed hope manifesto, will be pursued diligently, vigorously, with all our energy.
Tinubu is one of the front-runners in a 3-way race to succeed the outgoing President Muhammadu Buhari, who critics say has not fulfilled his policies. Running on behalf of the main opposition, the People's Democratic Party, is ex-Vice President Atiku Abubakar, in his 6th time running for Nigeria's highest office.
If you give us your mandate, we promise to live by our promises to make sure that we have a united country, that we have a peaceful country, that we have a buoyant economy for our country.
Trying to break up the two-party system is the Labour Party's Peter Obi, a businessman and former governor who's gained popularity with the youth in his message of change. More than 93 million are registered to vote in Saturday's election, as the country battles an inflation rate soaring over 20%, rising unemployment and rampant insecurity, including Islamist groups in the country's north and a separatist insurgency in the southeast.
A daughter of Malcolm X, the civil rights activist assassinated 50 years ago to the day on Tuesday, has filed notices that she intends to sue the FBI, the CIA, New York City Police and others for his death. Elias Shabazz accused various federal and New York government agencies of fraudulently concealing evidence that they conspired to and executed their plan to assassinate Malcolm X.
58 years to the day after the death of Malcolm X, on the very spot where he was gunned down, his family announced their intention to sue U.S. intelligence and law enforcement groups for their alleged involvement.
For years, our family has fought for the truth to come to light concerning his murder, and we'd like our father to receive the justice that he deserves.
By any means necessary.
Born Malcolm Little, the man who would become one of the most iconic figures of the struggle for black empowerment in America, spent his early life in foster homes and jails before joining the black nationalist group Nation of Islam. In 1964, he broke with the organization, an acrimonious split that brought a number of death threats. On February 21, 1965, as Malcolm X prepared to deliver a speech at New York's Audubon Ballroom, a trio of assassins shot him more than a dozen times in front of his family. 3 Nation of Islam members were convicted of the murder. In 2021, though, 2 were exonerated amid revelations that prosecutors and law enforcement had withheld key evidence at their trials.
We intend to have vigorous litigation of this matter. The truth
of what happened and who was involved has always been critical.
Speculation over who was responsible for the assassination has persisted, with associates of Malcolm X believing government agencies were either involved in the plot or knowingly allowed it to be carried out.
Russia's flagship frigate, equipped with new generation hypersonic cruise missiles, has arrived in the South African port of Richards Bay for exercises that will include China. Russia's RIA State News Agency reported on Wednesday. South Africa was due to launch the joint exercises on Friday. It calls the drills routine, but they have fueled domestic criticism and fears they could endanger relations with Western partners.
The Admiral Gorshkov sets sail as part of joint military drills between Russia, China and the host nation South Africa. Last week, the frigate arrived in Richards Bay on the east coast, armed with the latest generation of hypersonic cruise missile and painted with the same letter V seen on Russian weapons on the front lines in Ukraine. It's part of routine exercises that South Africa holds with other countries, but some people are protesting the involvement of Russia, especially because it's exactly 1 year after the invasion of Ukraine.
We feel that this should be stopped immediately, that South African government should not allow any military cooperation with Russia while it's continuing its war on Ukraine.
South Africa has not condemned Russia's war on Ukraine, saying it wants to remain neutral. But opposition politicians say the drills are anything but.
They seems to be giving every opportunity to the Russians to showcase their fist, their capability, their military strength.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov says he doesn't know what the fuss is about.
3 sovereign countries are conducting exercises without violating any norms of international law. I don't understand how that can cause a mixed reaction.
South Africa is one of many African countries that have friendly relations with Moscow. The ruling ANC party in particular has ties that go back to the apartheid era, when it was supported by the Soviet Union.
The U.S. Congress has appropriated more than $1,112 billion in aid to Ukraine since Russia invaded 1 year ago. VOA looks back at the scope of that assistance and reports on what happens next.
A promise from the Ukrainian president to the U.S. Congress last December.
Your money is not charity. It's an investment in the global security and democracy that we handle in the most responsible way.
U.S. President Joe Biden pledged an additional $500 million in aid as he marked the 1-year anniversary of the invasion, saying support for Ukraine would not waver.
All across my country, in big cities and small towns, Ukrainian flags fly from American homes. Over the past year, Democrats and Republicans in our United States Congress have come together to stand for freedom.
U.S. lawmakers' response in the first days of the invasion was swift, with overall broad support for assistance most say is key to American security.
The United States and our allies around the world quickly came to a consensus that we need to support Ukraine's defense of its people, territory, and way of life from Russian aggression.
Congress would ultimately send the largest aid package for a foreign conflict since the U.S. war in Iraq.
We had the situation where the administration was asking for not a trivial sum of money, and many people on the Hill, bipartisan, wanted them to go further and provide more offensive and powerful weapons to Ukraine. And so that's sort of unusual in American history. Typically, presidents are on the leading edge of these sorts of international conflicts.
But a year on, public support in the U.S. appears to be softening. According to a February 2023 Associated Press poll, 48% of Americans favor sending weapons, down from 60% who favored the move in a May poll of last year. Congressional support for Ukraine is still strong, but there is growing disagreement about how much aid to send and for how long.
What's the plan?
to suggest that it's just open-ended, a blank check in Ukraine. Now remember, when we ship armament to Ukraine, we don't control where that armament's going because we've given them a blank check. I don't like blank checks.
Ukraine has made moves to address concerns about internal corruption, and U.S. lawmakers say they're satisfied with the results they've seen on first-hand visits.
We're very reassured that our military assistance is going to where it should be going to, and the accountability and transparency is there.
Leading foreign policy voices in the Senate say the outcome of the war in Ukraine will have consequences for U.S. policy for decades.
What is at stake is not only the Ukrainians' freedom, which in and of itself is important, but also the proposition that you cannot by force take another country's territory. Because if that can become the rule of the day, there are many despots and authoritarians who will seek to do that.
With no clear end to the conflict in sight, the U.S. Congress is expected to debate additional aid in the coming months. Catherine Gibson, VOA News, Capitol Hill.
Around the world, prominent women are leaving their jobs to pursue other interests and focus on other priorities.
Some of the world's female leaders are quitting. In Scotland, Nicola Sturgeon recently announced her resignation as First Minister, citing the heavy personal toll of political life.
Since my very first moments in the job, I have believed that part of serving well would be to know, almost instinctively, when the time is right to make way for someone else.
Yes, her party has stumbled in its push for Scottish independence, but Sturgeon proudly stated that she wanted to spend more time with family.
That will help us to build a future.
In New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern stepped down in January as Prime Minister. While rising inflation had dented her party's popularity, Ardern cited the demands of motherhood as a top reason for leaving.
I know what this job takes. And I know that I no longer have enough in the tank to do it justice.
In the U.S. House of Representatives, politician Nancy Pelosi in November relinquished her role as the top House Democrat. And in Africa, head of the Ethiopian Supreme Court, Misa Ashanafi, resigned in January. Is this the great resignation of women leaders?
I think what we see in the great resignations of women leaders is that the ecosystem is not women-friendly. I think it is important for us to look at these structures and systems and institutions that were historically created and defined by men, that they no longer are sustainable.
Meanwhile, research by leanin.org and McKinsey & Company suggests that women in business want better pay and more flexibility at work and are prepared to switch jobs to get it. And they are more likely to want to work from home, perhaps to care for family.
I think it is getting more acceptable to be a caregiver in leadership.
And some research shows that the less gentle and more assertive a woman leader seems, the more unlikable she is perceived to be, even by other women. Former Malawi President Joyce Banda told the Guardian newspaper that her biggest critics tended to be women. But it's not all downhill for women in leadership. Experts say the trend in part-time work in Europe will help women, as well as quotas for female representation in business. And they say many cultures are more accustomed to having female leaders.
In cultures where female leadership has long been institutionalized, such as in Scandinavia, then there is very high support for female leaders, and indeed, almost half their leadership is female.
Upon handing over the gavel, former Speaker of the U.S. House Pelosi marveled at how many more women are serving in the chamber than when she joined 35 years ago. Laurel Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
An organization that trains young people for conservation jobs is recycling dead trees and replacing them with new ones, salvaging valuable lumber in the process.
Conservation groups around the United States maintain urban forests, which capture the carbon dioxide that worsens global warming. and they provide training and jobs for young people. This group, the Conservation Corps of Long Beach in Southern California, has partnered with a tree maintenance company to replace 1,000 dying trees with 2,000 new ones and to harvest the lumber. Trainees age 18 to 26 enrich their urban environment and, at this lumber yard, gain other skills.
How to inventory and category wood, how to actually operate a chainsaw to create the logs, and learn all kinds of job skills to help them figure out if this is the career for them or if there's something else that they want to do.
This high-value wood will be made into furniture and artworks in the next phase of the project.
Once we go through the process of milling here, there's a drying process which can take anywhere from a few weeks to a number of months. And so once that's complete, our Corps members themselves will actually be the ones building the furniture and the artisanal products for sale.
The project is funded by a $1 million grant from the firefighting branch of California's Natural Resource Agency called CAL FIRE. Trainee Felipe Carrion has been on the job for a year.
I've done tree planting, tree cutting over here. I've done some urban restoration work.
He says he loves working outdoors. Now Carrion is learning about the lumber business and running heavy equipment. It takes training and caution, says Jason Rose, the sawmill foreman.
Everything's sharp, everything's heavy, so being aware of your surroundings is very important. Being aware of things falling possibly on your feet, smashing fingers.
But for trainees, the skills can be mastered as they improve the local city and the natural environment and possibly open the door to a new career. Mike O'Sullivan, VOA News, Long Beach, California.
It's 7:30. We've come to the end of our international news. Let's take a break. Welcome back. You're still watching Kusile Professional Sikuvusele nawo lasanza kusivulela ngema-visuals ke lawo emsebenzi wenkampani eMandini Boreholes bebasebenza nje kuleminye lemiti lapha solo bayichubeka bayiservisa inkampani ke lena lecala ukusebenza eminyakeni lemibili leyendlulile benda imisebenzi efaka ekhathi i-pump installation kanye ne-borehole drilling sihlale sebanabo njalo ngalabo lesine kusichazela kabanti nje ukuthi inkampani yabo uyenda ini evini eliphilile besikhuluma kabanti nge-pump installation namhlanje sitawubuka nje sitawukhuluma nge-borehole ukuthi yini kahle kahle yona le borehole ngimaphi ama-advantages ayo yini ama-disadvantages ayo sinaye lapha Ayanda Nhlangamandla long sales and marketing manager asuka khona eMandini Boreholes. Good morning, welcome back Ayanda. Yeah, siyanibona lapha umsebenzi wenivele emkhulu nisebenzisa imishini vele lesezingeni lelisetulu but nje last week nje mashito ukuthi sibe sibukeka bantu i-pump installation so namhla sitabuka ukuthi vele kahle kahle le borehole yini for nje umuntu lo understand ukuthi isebenza kanjani eyini yona le borehole next isebenza kanjani.
Thank you Lulu. Nibabukela amakhaya bavusela i-borehole kahle kahle
singathi it's a narrow shaft that is drilled on the ground. But in this perspective, it is the popular way in which one gets to have water, access of water. Because in this instance, that hole that's installed a casing, which prevents the hole from collapsing, and it also prevents the hole from being contaminated, the water at large from being contaminated. So, and it is guaranteed that it is more than 10 times fresh water beneath the earth's surface, according to research, than the one which is on top of the surface.
Okay, so I think kubuda nje ukuthi njengoba I think solo uyachaza vele ukuthi niqale ne-drill nigubha imigodi lokho nalokho, so kubuda nje ukuthi borehole drilling nema boreholes in general, are they good or are they bad for the environment? Ngalokho ukuthi vele kuthi kapete vele tiningi sihlabathi, you know, are they good or bad for the environment?
Boreholes are good for the environment because I'm saying they're good because that is why when do I am surveys. The surveys are there this kind of project is environmentally friendly. Is it good for that particular place? So that is why we do the surveys. So boreholes at large, they are very good for the environment. They are environmentally friendly, if I can put it that way.
Okay, so does it happen ukuthi after seniyendile leyo survey leyo nibona ukuthi vele mhlambe leso sihlabathi leso sihlabathi is not good for ukuthi nikhona ukujula iborehole yenu bese mhlambe lelo khasimende niyacela ukuthi ngenikhona kulendela noma kukhona lenye plan bese niyayenda kuhamba kanjani?
Well, it never happens on that aspect. It never happens ukuthi sihlabathi kukhanza ukuthi akusiso lesifanele ukuthi sisijule, which is why it will go back to the survey. The survey is there ngathini ukuthi kufana ne-check up udokotela ukuthi uqala kupopole atobona ukuthi kubhlungu kuphi. So same applies to the survey. That is why we conduct the survey, so that we know ukuthi this place specifically it has water. So it never happens ukuthi ukhanza ukuthi nomhlaba lona udena njani sana akasiko suitable for ukuthi singawujula.
So kuyalunga ukuthi bene borehole both emakhaya nasemadolobheni. Is it also good for the environment emadolobheni nasemakhaya?
Yes, kuyalunga. Akuye kubebede kugonyeka noma kuthika bede kalokhu kanani. Still the same. Kubangiloko ukuthi nje in rural areas most of the time emahlanzeni as I've highlighted emavikini laphelile ukuthi in rural areas ukhanza ukuthi lo mhlaba o dry. So when the land is dry, then that means we have to drill deeper other than in the other outskirts.
Okay. So wona nje in general are reliable kanganani nje ma boreholes in terms of water supply yawo? Can I depend on them for iminyaka neminyaka so long sebenzisa borehole makutawuhamba kufika isikhathi la khona mhlambe imanda angasaphumi sekunetinkinga sekwendekene esihlabathini sekunjanjani? Are they reliable in vile nje nangikhona vele ukuthi kube namanda every day?
Boreholes are very, very reliable on that aspect, Lulu, because challenge. I think a primary factor, let's see big as borehole companies are sufficient and they are most reliable. Nalogo you can access them anytime. No buga rate mande say nyuga and all that. So a borehole we are kona logo wona ufeganye ukona to enjoy mande for the rest of your life. They're easily accessible and they are beneficial as well for people who do businesses like farming. So gibo ayaba benefit kakhulu ukuthi abakwati ukuthi bachacheke kakhulu ukuthi bachacheka emandeni every time. So bayati ukuthi ba covered for emandi for the longest of time.
Yeah, but sisafuna kubuda vele ukuthi for balimi nabafuyile akhona lawo advantages ukuthi bangaba ne borehole.
Yes, akhona lawo advantages ukuthi bangaba ne borehole ngoba bona kuyabasita kakhulu because when you look at rate yemandi vele idulile ikakhulu when you look at ukuthi imali lo ibhadala konje wena as an individual towards a water bill and all that. So once you have a borehole as a farmer, no matter when cattle rearing or or anything like that, something which you need water each and every now and then. Irrigation and all that. Places like those, Big Bend, they need it because and because the crops each and every time they need to have moisture at the corner. So we are benefit kakhulu in that aspect my farmers.
Okay. So ngifuna ukubuza nje mhlawumbe nasibuka nje ama impacts ukuthi iba khona vele impact kuyo iborehole because sishintsha ama seasons njalo winter, spring, summer. Kuba khona mhlawumbe lokuthika bedekako as ma seasons change.
Kuba bede, although others feel like in winter is the best time gokuthi kudrillwe because emanti uyati gokuthi are stagnant kude gokuthi ehlobo ngoba alina kakhulu so dokhanza uthole wona kanti awukatholi wena an aspect akuvamisi ukuthi kube kuthika bedeke kanganani because thina when we drill drilla gokuthi siye kulelitshe leselati gokuthi lelitshe leli litawukhipha emanti toti so ngisho ngaba winter still emanti utawathola nje njengoba bowathola in summer. So kuba bede any interference on that aspect.
Okay. So ngifuna ukubuza nje ukuthi ingabe vele mhlambe interest nje emakhasimende eno ngiyathi ukuthi solo uyetavelela for the past weeks solo siyakufundisa abantu ngeborehole drilling, pump installation se ikhona interest laba itshengisako nje ukuthi nabo bafisele kuba nemanti abo la kahle laphephile lahlanekile.
Yes, we khona interest labayitshengisako Lulu from the time ngicalile nje ukudalana kokuthi abantu bayavela lo nalo uyavela kokuthi uyati kokuthi nathi sesiyasibona lesithingo nyalo seborehole kokuthi nasibala letindleko ukuthi solo sikhipha imancozincozo imali yemanti why not sife kanye sikwadi ukuthi sijule iborehole and get to enjoy sufficient sustainable water source for the rest of our lives. So siyawathola kakhulu ma customer.
Okay, so speaking of water nje wona lamanti nje leni kuba ngemanti lahlobile nahlandekile yini. I think one would ask ukuthi abuya ngaphasi just that assurance usichazela nje ukuthi vele aqhamuka kanjani asuka kuba ahlobile imvela aphephile and I think tolo besikhuluma nje baka health ukuthi besikhuluma nje ngekuhlandeka kwamanti. So I think kuva nje ukuthi lawo manti lawo aphephile imvele ngawanatha imvele nje straight from the tap.
Okay. Lamanti lawa aphephile kakhulu. Looking at ukuthi emanti these days they are being recycled a lot. They are being recycled and it takes a lot of energy ukuthi lawa bantu lawo abe recycled so that they are safe for human consumption. Whereas when une borehole you limit yourself from that stress because wona ungawanatha as is aphuma nje laphana and research nje isho ukuthi when une borehole because uyakhona ukuthi unanjanisana urestrict le carbon emission loyifaka emtimbeni like 90% is restricted of the carbon emission lesifaka ko after ukuthi seba purify lamanti bafake ama chemicals bazama ukuthi bawenda abe safer for us to drink kanze ku borehole yakhona ukuthi nje uwanathe as is without any stress wa detox and all that. Instead, they've got much more minerals and they're safer.
Okay, so yana sustainability yawo ema-boreholes ngaba nawo nje isikhathi lesinganani abasolo nje ngikhokhele amanti noma mhlawumbe kuhamba iminyaka lembalwa emanti akasaphumi ithini nje iminyaka yayo nje iborehole.
I'll say for the rest of your life, if you can put it that way, because after maybe 5 years down the line, sekamile. Lana ukhona kokuthi lamanti akho aphume vele forever. So we have to go ukuthi unoyigubha lamuhla for the rest of your life usaphila you'll be drinking from the source of water. Yes.
Kodwa ukuthi mhlambe manje sekaphelile sekayaphela.
Akwendeke in that aspect because nasigubhela thina sigubha in the sense that vele siyathi ukuthi lese umgosi wakho bekufuna kube 60 meters. Sijula deeper maybe 65 or 70. To make that assurance kubusuna ube nale surety ukuthi lamanti lawo they'll sustain me for the longest of time.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, last week uthinzele vele inzabelo ukuthi mangabe solo ningawaboni
siyaqhubeka sikubheka. Yes, that's true.
And that is an expense to
the customer. Yes, that's true.
Okay, so I think that last week just wathinzile ama specials mhlambe now. I think uthinza futhi ukuthi ngabe vele mhlambe asesekhona lo ama specials kuma nje umbukelo obukelako ofisile ukuchumana nani ukhona yini mhlambe leningamlungisela manje.
Yes, especially sisekhona ababukela emakhaya bangayita it's still the 49,000 package lesinayo. So umbukelo emakhaya angayita ukuthi adoza amacosha leso special. Lesilekelwa ke ivoucher yethu lesinayo yase okay let's 500 rand.
Okay. So kahle kahle ngifuna ukuva nje and what are your main objectives as Emandini Boreholes, because ngiyathula ukuthi I think niyibukile nani indzaba yavele kushoda kwemanti especially emakhaya kude kahle bamfu bede kahle emanti, so I think that is why you established this company. But just funa ukuva nje kini ukuthi vele imigomo yenu as Emandini Boreholes ithini vele kahle kahle.
Imigomo yethu as Emandini Boreholes ukuthi sichubeke sijulile abantu eMandi supply eMandi at the cheapest price and be one of the best company le offer each other best services and fast services actually ukuthi abantu nabasithinzile sikhona ukuthi si refer to kibo fast and in the long run sikwade ukuthi si provide imisebenzi ngasho kanjalo for our local Swazi people labasingile imisebenzi, so nekokuthi si expand ke ema offices ethu ukuthi nasakhula sikwade ukuthi sibe now ema offices in the 4 regions that we have because labanye ukhanza umuntu usespeak usawu little office embabane uyabona sekufuna inyaka amanzini nangifuna kutobona cause emaswati I believe ukuthi indvo illegit nakabona office ngokuthi afuna ukukholelwa ngokuthi afike atibonele ukuthi uvele balana labantu so that atogcwaliseke emoyeni ngokuthi okay imali yami ngiyifaka emphuleni.
Shothi we can expect nje soon ukuthi indaba nama office around
yes,
around
in the long
country.
run as sisachubeka we have to do
okay,
that.
So speaking of imisebenzi I think vedile ne aspect ukuthi kuba khona kweMandini Boreholes kukhonile ukuthi create ke imisebenzi. Yes, I think kuva nje ukuthi vele mhlambe nikhona ku create imisebenzi lenganani kusitakele bamfla banganani nje so nicale kusebenza
kusitakele abantu abaningi kakhulu ikakhulu nje labana the experience in the drilling industry laba kwade ukuthi basebenzele ngemishini on the construction side on the surveying side so bakhonile ukuthi basitakale lapho kakhulu ngisho nje ukuthi roughly 60 to 70% of people bakhonile ukuthi babe assisted in that aspect.
Yeah, shothi more jobs will be created mangabe senivulela
ama office more jobs will be created obviously.
Okay.
That's true.
So ngifuna siphinde nje sikhumbule babukele about ama services eni because I think last time I tsenza ukuthi ungakhona ukuthi kuphela and then bese uyababita bakase Emandini Boreholes. I think mhlambe ukuthi ichazela nje abantu ukuthi nini nimcala kuphi likhasimende nimsita kanjani nekuthi kuthatha isikhathi lesinganani.
Okay, shothi sinesitala with the survey. Nasuka survey is normally for a day. Nasisuka kule survey sibuye stock drillela. Nasa sikdrillele ke drilling ngasho ukuthi ku dependa kulomgodi wakho neke ukuthi where are you located because at times ukuthatha the whole day. Nakulamalanga nje sidrilla kubo big band. So kuthatha like the whole day even overnight they were working. They had to work even overnight because of the lenzawo leki yokuthi sisehlanzeni. So eMandi kufuneka sigubha much deeper. So it takes the whole day drilling. Then after drilling, we wait for 2 to 3 days. Bese siyak installela a pump. So those are the services we offer: it's survey, then drilling, then pump installation. Yes.
So kepha washo ukuthi ngakhona kudrillela mina bese ngiyanibida nidong installele pump.
Yes, siya singabe nenkinga nalapho ukuthi you drill for yourself thina sifike stock installela a pump or we come and drill for you bese sitshela ukuthi hayi pump mina nginayo and I have a special person odangifika ngiinstallele. Nalapho we don't mind it when you do that. And others tend to tell us ukuthi sebaba surveyele. So today we can just come and do the other 2 elements las asele ukuthi siyabadrillela then install the pump.
Yes. Okay, mhlambe umakhasimende nje kuba khona imibuto la bayibude mhlambe la bayibuda kakhulu because I assume ukuthi nibavulele kuma social media pages ukuthi babude lokho labafisa ukubuda. Kuba yini nje mhlambe leyo mibuto nje le hamba imbili bayibudako lesenikhonile mhlambe kuba phendula kuba sida ngakho.
Baye babude lokho ukuthi let's say nje umuntu ose big band uyabude ukuthi okay mina kufanele ngibudgetele malini because ngise big band and kusehlanzeni kufanele ngibudgetele malini mina kulomgodi wami umgodi wangala kubo big band uvamise estimator ku how many meters bese babuda ke with the prices and the survey prices as well ukuthi ngabe I survey yona ingimalini then nasengicetsile ke le survey kusho ukuthi sesenda kanjani the survey shows nasengicetsile ufuna ngisana ngibhadala lokunye yini pump installation yona ngiyibhadala yini ngokuthi ngiyibhadala separate and we are able to tackle all those questions with them.
Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of itimali nje letibhadalwako uma ngabe ngitawenda konke kini kukhona mhlambe le discounts ngiyayithola because njengoba ushido ukuthi labanye banishayela mabe nje bafuna ukuthi nibafakele le pump kuphela noma senifuna ukuthi nibasavele kuphela but nangabe ngitawenda konke nje from the surveying ngikwende konke kini kukhona le discounts ngiyayithola.
The price still stands as is because thina sibala ukuthi sesek-discounted already with the specialist esikwendele sona. So if you go for the special vele already you've been discounted because we exclude the VAT on that special. Desuke sekunikete sona. And then we cut down on the price survey le specialist desuke sekunikete sona. Then the remaining portion of le mali survey we give you as a voucher. You say okay. So that's the least we do as a discount.
Okay, so seselapho nje imali into ethenza abantu ama discount ama payment agreements kuba khona yini ukuthi mhlambe nithi abavumela amakhasimende eni ukuthi bacela kubhadala kancane but nina nichubeke umsebenzi niwende nize nicethe niyakwenda lokho.
We don't do lokho ukuthi umuntu abhadale kancane but bese sichubeka nemsebenzi ethini. We rather say i-policy yethu ithi utawubhadala kancane then le mali naseyifike on the amount lekufuneka ukuthi ifike bese ngikhani ke ukuthi sichubeka ke nemsebenzi ngamane bese sesivumela lokho ukuthi achubeka abhadala kancane when sese exceedile kulo 50 meters sicala lama charges lamanye ukuthi siyachubeka ke uze okay angidawuchubeka ngifake kanje nasina sibe sichubeka na because on that aspect si avoid lokho ukuthi lo munye umuntu uye athi ngiyawubhadala kancane you guys do for me this then lo munye bese songena emenene and ke kubhenza phela kuchishela umuntu ngelisamani ukuthi seniyacoshana so ufuna imali it's with the customer bese seku destroy nalobudlelwane uyabuka ukuthi naye bese sowufila ngazo hey nalaba bayangihambela kanze phela imali yenkampani ifuneka ibuye enkampanini so suke sesizama avoid those kind of disagreements ngokuthi bese sekuhamba kuyawudlwana la ndleleni ukuthi sesicosha wena sekucoshela imali so we really appreciate it ukuthi vele ubhadale ngoba siyabachazele vele ukuthi no utawubhadala then naseyifikile kule amount seyiphelele ukuthi this is scheduling figure we go and drill for you. And another thing besiyaye sithi umuntu akachubeka ayibhadale yonke nalele nase site yakhe ukuthi so sesiyachubeka more than the 50 meters ukhanza ukuthi okay labanye abakhona vele so bayasicela ukuthi bacela ukuthi babhadale kancane but lo nayo vele nje abhadale izo sikhona ukuthi sichubeke beyond the 50 meters and drill for them.
Okay, ngiyakhumbula maqala afike nje ukuthi waveta nje ama challenges mhlambe nema highlights ama successes and as a company I think waveta nje nenzaba ukuthi senikhonile kuthenga lo mshini lona lomkhulu bekujula kukhona mhlambe ama challenges lenisabhekene nawo nje as a company njengoba nisaqala sena 2 years but nje kukhona mhlambe lokusanibisela emuva lensafisa kokulungisa as a company.
Kungaba ngiko to highlight on the challenges nje kungaba ngiko lenkinga kuveta nyalo ukuthi ukhanza ukuthi labanye abantu ba owe inkampani and it's taking forever ukuthi basibhadale back. We had an agreement sabhala phasi ukuthi umuntu utasibhadala after this time njalo ngenyanga utokhipha imali lengaka bese ukhanza ukuthi sesiphele kumlanzelela ukuthi phela salo usibhadala then lenye challenges ukuya kubeda imvula siyabonga nje kulamalanga ukuthi ike kwangathi kulenta kuna but labe seliyachubeka liba kahle because kuba i-challenge if lina because asikhona ukuthi siyojulela abantu kahle since imoti i-truck yethu besiyabisha so bese kuba nalawo ma complications otherwise kuba ngiledodishwana nje naloko ukuthi ke nangabe sikhanza ukuthi litshe lakho esayithini ligcine kakhulu ukhanza ukuthi bese at times lo mshina wethu uba naloko ukuthi unayo so uyahana noma so ya overheat le compressor yethu ukuthi kufuneka ukuthi sibenzise iphotisa kancane sikhona ukuthi sichubeke sekujilele.
Okay. So kokugcina nje andani banganichumana nani kanjani amakhasimende nitfolakala kuphi ema-officeini?
Customer ethu angasithola at Estel House in Manzini, office number 8, or visit our Facebook page and follow Imantini Boreholes. Noma bas contact on our contact numbers 79635369 Noma 78133719.
Okay, thank you so much, and sasibona evikini leli tako. Yeah, besikhulumisana naye sales and marketing manager losuka enkampanini eMandini Boreholes. Silo nje sikhuluma ngadoti indzaba noma ke ama services laba provider ko as a company ke lena liyaqala kusebenza almost 2 years ago. Benda ama services lamaningi lokufaka ekhathi surveying, drilling kanye ne pump installation ba installa ke ema boreholes. Kanti ke nawufuna ke ukubuta kabanti ungabathola ka Facebook bayatholakala eMandini Boreholes. Asibahlete makethe siyabuya khona manje.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who paid for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and a gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Welcome back. Sele imizuzu lemithathu ukuthi kushaya insimbi esipohlongo lamhlakuseni sibakhulu ukuthi nihlalisene nathi lamuhla besanza ukukhulumisana nalabasuka eMandini Boreholes inkampani kilena le provider ema services lamaningi lokufaka ekhathi i-drilling kanye ne-pump installation. Solo nje sebavakashele imimango leminingi solo bafakela abantu ema-boreholes kungumanje nje basebenzela khona edolobheni lase Big Bend. Bayatholakala ke emahovisini abo akamanzini Estel House kanti ke office ukuthi bakufakele iborehole yakho uyachumana nabo batawuqale bakwendele isurvey babuke ukuthi vele lendzawo yakho yalunga yini vele ukuthi bangakudrilelana ukuthi emanti ayatfolakala yini akhona yini anganani. I think lokunyela kubalekile nje labakuvetile indzaba ukuthi mangabe sola bangawatholi emanti bayachubeka bagubhe base bayofika ku 70 meters ezibachubeka ke bavetilene ukuthi yimali ke leyo lengetekako lekumele likhasimende likhokhe ngale kwaloko bona bagubha indzawo lenganga 50 meters bashone ndase kwa 50 meters kepha mangabone imibuto leminingi na Facebook bayatholakala bayakhona ukukhuluma nemakhasimende likhasi labo lithi eMandini ubute noma ngayini longayibuta ngale kwaloko sibongela ukuthi nibe nathi lamhlakuseni mhlahleleni Kusile professional kanti mawusanza kusivulela ngakhathathe usangakhona nekusibukela ka YouTube ekhasini lethu le Eswatini TV. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.